When I first came to London, I was amazed by all the different areas to explore, things to do and restaurants to try. From the street food in Camden and the spices of Brick Lane to the Jamaican influences of Brixton and eel pie and mash in the East End. It's possible to eat your way around the globe without even leaving the city, and there's no better way to see it than with a quick ride on the London Underground. With over 270 stations to pick from, inspiration is only a tube ride away, and each video will be exploring a new area before whisking back to the Cutout and Keep kitchen to make something delicious inspired by our adventure. To start, we're at my home stop of Kennington. A sleepy area of the city, it's ideal for a walk in the park, coffee in a cafe, or drink in one of the cosy pubs. My favourites include vanilla black for an iced latte and to browse the cookbooks, the Courtyard Cafe at the Jamyang Buddhist Centre for a vegan lunch, and a drink at the Black Prince, where the bar fight scene in the Kingsman movie was shot. In the summer, head to the Prince of Wales, where you can sip on Pimm's while playing a game of bowls in Cleaver Square, where John Major once lived. The area is popular with MPs as it's an earshot of the division bell at nearby Houses of Parliament, which gives members 8 minutes to get to Westminster and vote. Politics aside, Kennington's most famous resident has to be Charlie Chaplin, who grew up in the area, and you'll see several plaques pointing out where he lived. One of his homes was the old workhouse, which is now the site of the Cinema Museum. Hosting regular cinema and silent movie nights, the museum is an absolute hidden gem for film lovers, and is filled with movie memorabilia, marquee signs, and cinema antiques. They also serve a super tasty popcorn cake. I recently discovered the Charlie Chaplin cocktail. It's a mixture of sloe gin, apricot brandy, and lime. I can't find out why it's named after Charlie Chaplin, but it is delicious, so we're going to use the ingredients as the basis for our recipe. Inspired by Kennington and the Cinema Museum, I'm going to show you how to make these Charlie Chaplin-inspired chocolate bowler hat cakes. The bowler hat is a dark chocolate shell. Inside is a booze-soaked chocolate sponge with sloe gin and apricot. You'll also need a silicone mold for the bowler hat and a circle cutter that's the same size and one that's a bit larger. Break 100 grams of the dark chocolate into a bowl. Then place it in the microwave for 30 seconds to melt. Then remove it from the microwave, give it a stir, and return it for another 30 seconds. Now the chocolate will be nice and runny and ready to make our bowler hats, so take about a tablespoon of the chocolate and place it inside the molds. Then use the back of the spoon to paint around the molds, making sure to cover it all while keeping the chocolate nice and even. It's always best to leave the chocolate to set overnight, but if you don't have time, you can put it in the fridge to speed it up. Now grab a chopping board or two if they're quite small, and cover it in cling film, making sure to seal around the edges all good. And then melt the second 100 grams of chocolate in the microwave like we did before, and use a large circle cutter to paint the brims for our hat. Continue this to make as many brims as you need, and then place to the side to set. Now measure out 100 grams of sugar and cream together with 75 grams of butter in a mixer. Once creamed, crack in both of the eggs one at a time, and mix together until well combined with no lumpy bits. Measure out 100 grams of self-rising flour, add 75 grams of cocoa, whisk, and then sieve together. Add the cocoa and flour to the mixer with your butter and sugar, and also add 100 ml of soya milk. Whisk together into a smooth batter, and use a spatula to scrape down the sides if there's any unmixed bits. Grease a rectangular baking pan with some butter. Then pour the cake batter out into the greased baking pan, using a spatula to get it all out. Then bake in a preheated oven set to 200 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes. While the cake bakes, gently remove the chocolate bowler hats from their molds. Once the cake is ready, use a circle cutter that's the same size as your bowler hat to cut out 6 sponge circles. Place the remaining bits of cake into a blender and blend until powdery. Pour the powdered cake into a bowl and add half a jar of apricot jam and mix in well. Then add 1 to 2 ounces of sloe gin, depending on how boozy you'd like the cakes to be. Fill each of the bowler hats 2/3 full with the mixture. Once we've finished filling our bowler hats, it's time to start constructing our cakes, so grab all the pieces and the jam. Spread the top of the sponge circle with a little apricot jam and press flat down in the middle of your chocolate brim. Carefully place the chocolate bowler hat down on top of the sponge. As a finishing touch, wrap a length of black ribbon around your bowler hats, securing at the back with some double-sided sticky tape. Your bowler hats are now ready to serve. Well, that's all from Kennington and from us this time, but please get in touch if there's any stations that you'd like us to visit. Cheers! Check out cutoutandkeep.net for more recipes and crafts, and you can follow my adventures on my blog catmarley.com.